In this video, I'm going to show you how to build the DT7 electric desk that comes with your treadmill desk. Make sure first that the box is in the upright position. The desk comes in two boxes. The frame, which is the DT7 frame, and the desktop box. Make sure the box is in the upright position. And you can see the arrow right there that points to upright. Make sure that's in the upright position. It will make a huge difference with regard to how you can get the stuff out of the box. Okay, now we'll go over taking out the box and content. Now that I have all the content of the box outside, as you can see, every part comes wrapped in a plastic cover. What I usually do is I remove the plastic covers altogether, but you can also do it one by one. I'll start taking them out, and then I'll introduce you to the different parts of the different parts that comes inside the box. Make sure while removing the plastic cover, to be careful with the electric wiring inside, so you don't cut it by mistake. Now that all the components of the box are out, please note the different components. This one here is the main control console. I'm gonna leave it in the plastic for now because this is gonna be the last step. Please note that many of the parts include right and left marking. This will be very important to follow, otherwise it will not work. So you see all the different components, except for these two here has 1 and 2 marking. This is very important, so please keep note of that. The bag that I showed you earlier, which contains all the aiding tools, contains all the screws numbered based on the steps that you will follow. So I recommend lining them up like this after opening all the bags. This is the tool bag right here. This cable, you can leave it on the side for now, and make sure you don't step on any of these by mistake. This is the cable, the VGA cable that connects the treadmill to the desk, so you can control the treadmill from the desk. And this is the manual, and this is the electric box. I left it in the bag for now because I'm gonna be assembling the frame first. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and start building the frame. Okay, so now for step number 1 is I'm gonna take the right with the right. So it's this part right here, marked right, with this part of the leg also marked right. Okay, so you will need to tilt this a bit to the back, so you can have more space to do this. So now you just do it with hands. Okay. Okay, now that the screws in, you need to tighten them up. So get the tool bag and get the large one right there and just tighten it. Okay, right side is done. Now I will do the left side. So I'll put the right side on the side. Okay, so far what I did is I just added this to this part, and I made sure that right is with right and left with left. Okay, next step is we're gonna need these 2 legs right here to go on the top of here. Now it might not make make sense right now because we're doing everything upward. So just follow the steps one by one, and then you'll see how it works out in the end. this part of the setup requires two people. One person will need to carry the bottom of the leg up, and so the other person can use both hands to connect the wires. Make sure right with right, left with left. There's a marking on the leg. After the connection is done, all the cabling need to be hidden on the inside. So try to push all the cables gently on the inside without damaging the actual cable. And once you manage to put all the cables inside, only then you can be able to fit the two parts together perfectly. So as you can see here, I'm just pushing it inside. You can try on both sides, to the right and the left. And once all the cables are on the inside, then you can, yes, and now you can put the screws in. Make sure someone is helping you. You cannot do this. This part cannot be done by yourself. And now when you put the screws, the cables on the inside might be blocking the view between the screws. Make sure you do it gently, and you can push the cables on the inside using one of the small tools. So here I managed to put the screws all in, and now I'm just locking them down, and that's it for this leg. Now I'm doing the other leg, same thing, except this part has really two cables, blue and brown. So make sure blue with blue, brown with brown. This is male, female, so make sure it goes inside perfectly. It might not be clear here, but one part needs to go inside the other one. Not only the plastic, inside the metal. Again, you need to push all the cables on the inside. Make sure you hide it, so you have room to close it. Okay, and now you put all the screws in, lock it down. Okay, and you are done for this leg as well. Now for this part, you need to uncover the box, take out the box. You can use the bottom as the carton as a pad, so you don't scratch the top. So now, as you can see, I removed the desktop out of the box. I used the outer box as a cushion underneath the desk to make sure I don't scratch it. If you have a carpet at home, then you can do it over the carpet, but I don't recommend using it directly on the floor. The desk surface now is upside down. So here you need to notice that also it's marked left and right. And now what you have to do is the legs that we assembled earlier, okay, make sure the left is next to the left, okay, and the right is next to the right. And now we're going to fix the frame to the desk top itself. Okay, watch. Okay, so now I'm done with screwing the desk top into the frame. As you can see, there's 3 screws here that goes on each side. And again, make sure that you get the right side with the right side and left side with the left side. Okay, so this is the other side, also 3 screws on the side. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna be putting the 2 pieces in the middle. I'll show you how to do it now. Okay, so now after the legs are already attached to the desk using all the screws here on the side. Okay, so now after this is done, we need to attach these 2 parts, 1 and part 2. Okay, for this I prepared the stage here. You will need the screws available in bag number 4, which includes 8 of the long one and 6 of the short ones. The long ones will go 4 on 1, 2, 3, 4, and 3 on here on the inside, and the same thing for here. So 3 of the short one, and then 4 covering that side. One thing you need to do first before you start, because the holes on here are not perfectly aligned with the holes here, so you need to adjust it. The way to adjust it is you remove these two parts here on the top, okay? So you take these out, and when you do this, now this part, this is what gives the frame the ability to extend, to adapt to a larger desk. So now this can be moved back and forth. So yeah, we'll need 2 hands to show you with this, but now you can move this basically after removing that part. Okay, so now I'll go ahead and start with putting all those screws in. One thing to make sure that it's very important to make sure that before you put all the screws, to make sure that you did it right. One way to know that you put number 1 and number 2 correctly is 1 is on the long side of the desk. So you see here, so this is the desk, okay, as it is right now. So this is the long side, okay, I'm standing next to the long side compared to here to this. So I have more space here. This is the long side, and there's shorter space here, so that's the short side. So on the long side there is number 1, okay, and number 1 has cables on it attached to it. So when you take it out of the plastic bag, you will see all these cables. Keep the cables like the way same it is. You can just remove these wire wraps. You can take these out. These small wire wraps, you don't need those. Okay, so you remove these no need. Okay, and the second way to know that you did it right is the left leg has out of it coming this part right here, okay, and you will need this to be next to these 1, 2, 3, okay. If you do 1 and 2 the opposites, then these will be on this side instead, right, and on that side, sorry, instead, and then you cannot go to the next step after that. So it's very important that you do 1 and 2 in the right places. And now I'll go ahead and screw them all in. Okay, so now I'm done with number 1. So now I'm gonna do number 2. First I'll get this small tool and I'll remove this out. Okay. Okay, and now for the last stage, we need to assemble the power box. So there's 2 things inside. there is the cable, and there is the box. And the box will go here. Let's put the cable here for now. You will also need bag number 5, and you will need these cable ties. Okay, so let's get started with this now. So okay, again for this stage I'm applying the power box. So I connected the power box right there, and what I did is I cleaned all the cable from underneath, and I also, with all these extra cables, this cable was originally running through the frame part number 1. I just shortened it because I don't need for the cable management later on, I don't need it to be too long. So just make sure it's right there to the edge, and then everything else is tucked back here. Okay, and now what we will do is we will need to close this right there, as you can see, with using the small screws in box number 5. And you can use the small tool that came in the small toolbox, the smallest one, to screw these in. Okay, once this is screwed in, we'll do the rest of cable management here. Okay, now the remaining of cable management. So now this part will go here. Now in this step, so earlier I connected this power from this side, and I screwed these 3 screws to lock this into the frame. But you can also wait on that if you want. The next step is to put these cables in. So you have 3 cables here that will go in. That's number 1, 1, 2, and 3. 3 is really this small part that came, so you put the rounded side on the inside, and now these two came from each leg. So this one, like you see, this came from here and connected, and the other one came from the other leg, also connected. So next step, all we have to do is just to connect the remaining cables together. Okay, so you will notice that you have male and female. So this is the male and this is the female. So you connect these together, and then you have another one here, male and female, and you have another one, male and female. This is the female, this is the male. You connect these together, and then it's just a matter of cleaning up the cables and hiding them away here. So I left these two cables now loose. These will connect to the control console. Okay. So as you can see now, all the 4 connections are connected. Just make sure they're in again. So make sure everything is in. Especially this one here. The last one here. Make sure, because while cleaning the cable, you might have pulled it out by mistake. So make sure everything is in. Okay. And you should have 2 remaining cables coming out like this. These are the 2 loose ones. And these will connect to the control console, which I will show you later. The next step will be to flip over the desk. So now the desk is done. So like this, the desk is done. We're going to flip it over now. And once it's flipped over, we will do the control console. So now, as you can see, the desk is built and is ready to be flipped over. So this is like those are the legs upside down. These are the 2 wires, and as you can see here, everything is beautiful. Okay, ready to be flipped over. Now, as you can see, the desk is flipped over to the other side. So now the desk frame and desktop is assembled. The only thing remaining is to place in the control console. Now the control console will go here where you can see the screws. Okay, the way to know if you're facing the way the control console will go is the screws, and on the other side you will see the cable management hole over there. So the control console comes in this bag. So this is the control console, but pay special attention here, because with the control console there is a small bag here that contains all the screws that you will need. So this is very important. Okay, so don't throw this away. Okay, so now we're going to put the control console. The control console will go here. These are the cables that come with the control console. Make sure you see this. Okay, this is the safety pin right here. And these are the cables. These 2 cables will connect with the 2 cables which are now under the table. Okay, so these 2 will connect with these 2. But first, there's one more step that we need to do, and that's to remove the screws. These 2 here, 1, 2, and these 2 here, 1, 2, on both sides. Okay, so I'll start doing this now. Okay, so now once you have all the screws in, you will need to add the cover back in. Okay, so you put the cover back in, and remember that this cover had 4 screws. These 4 screws came out when we took it out, so there is 2 that go in here and 2 that go on the bottom. Okay, so screw these in on both sides, and then the control is done. All you have to do is connect it. Now, as you can see, both sides are done. Screws on the bottom, screws on the side. So all this is done. Now this is the middle screen. It has a plastic cover on it, so you can remove this or keep it. So there's a plastic cover there. Some people think it's scratched. This is the safety pin. So if this gets pulled out, the machine will not work. So this needs to be in, and this is the safety pin that you can attach to your cloth. The last step is the 2 cables that we left loose. We need to connect with the 2 cables that come out of the console. Okay, and then tape it to the bottom of the desk. I'll show you how to do this now. Done. Now the desk is all done. The only thing remaining is to connect it to the treadmill. There's these two cables that came inside the box. One is the power. This is the power for the desk. So the desk will have one power and the treadmill comes with its own power. And this cable is the VGA cable that connects the treadmill to the desk. So I'll just show you right quick where they go. So for the power goes right in there. Okay, so that's the power right there. Okay, push it. Okay, and then the VGA cable will go in here. Okay, one side on the treadmill and one side on the desk. Okay, just make sure if you ever want to move the treadmill desk after you assemble it, that the first thing you do, two things. One, you lower the desk all the way to the bottom if you had raised it before, so you lower it all the way to the bottom, and then you disconnect these cables. These cables are very sensitive here, so if you pull the treadmill before disconnecting the cables, you could end up damaging this port right here. So make sure you disconnect all cabling after lowering the desk, and then you can remove the treadmill. I will show you in another movie how to how to roll the treadmill inside and have it in place. Thanks.